Well, good morning. Welcome to Daytona Beach. We are just south of where we're heading today. It's Happy New Year to everybody. January 1st, 2024. Can you believe that? Well, we're heading out for a trail ride today to go somewhere we have never been before, because that's our tradition on January 1st. And that is why we always like to stay at a residence inn when we're going on a Jeep trip. This one is in Daytona International Speedway, and it comes highly recommended. We're at the Buc-ee's getting some gas, plus we got to get a Buc-ee's breakfast sandwich and go to the jerky bar. Heading up to Espanola, and that's where the Old Dixie Highway is. That's part of our ride today.
Continue on County Road 13.
State Road 205. That's a Jeepers road right there. Rough road ahead.
Your destination will be on the right.
Removing brakes is illegal. Violators will be persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Flagler County BOCC. Travel at own risk.
Welcome to Old Dixie Highway. This is 10 miles of brick road that is over 100 years old. It is a historical landmark in Florida. Well, before we get started talking a little bit about this road, I'm going to introduce to you who we have with us today. And this is Fred and Cherry. And what year's your Jeep?
2014.
2014. And you guys have lived here for a very long time?
All my life.
All your life, so born and bred Florida.
Yep.
And then we have Sean and Christine. Christine's inside. And you've seen Sean before. No, it's not the Road Dog renamed, but it is a white Rubicon. So once again, it's so good to have him back on the road. And now for something totally different, we got Wendy and Bart. And tell us about your vehicle.
It's a 23 Rivian R1T, fully electric.
Fully electric. And how many miles do you get on it?
Almost 300.
Almost 300 on a charge. And you have been wheeling around. You've been, where else have you been?
We've been to Croom, Citrus, a little bit of Rich Loam, not the deep puddles, Ocala National Forest several times.
And does well off-road.
It does.
Four-wheel drive. And here's the cool thing about this vehicle is there's an electric motor on each wheel.
Yes.
So each wheel has its own electric motor. So you don't need lockers, do you?
Nope.
Because it's going to send power to whatever wheel is slipping. That is a
no
great...
differential hanging down either.
No.
It's flat.
Wow.
No differential.
Completely flat.
And then you got tires, what?
They're about 33.
About 33-inch
Yep.
tires on there? Well, if you're looking for an eco-friendly ride, and I get often asked about people wheeling with us, and yes, we're Florida Jeep Rides, but if you've noticed, we are also Off-Road Travels.
Yep.
And Off-Road Travels covers other vehicles because we have had Fords out with us. We even had our brother-in-law. We did have to tow him 13 miles in, but in his expedition. So, well, yes, we do have other vehicles when we go out. If we're going out with the Orlando Jeep Club, that's a different story because that is a Jeep Club. But Off-Road Travels, we love to have other vehicles with us. Originally went through 10 states. And the goal of the gentleman who came up with it in 1914 from the Midwest was to bring tourists down to Florida. And so this was a main road where people were driving down this brick road. There's portions even up in Maitland There are portions out here, but this is a 10-mile stretch that we're gonna drive on and see what we can find. The bricks are still here, and there's a sign at the very beginning of this road that tell you what will happen to you if you decide that you want to take some of these bricks. 9 feet wide. Well, this is a bumpy road, but it is pretty much car friendly. You could drive a car down this, almost guarantee it's not a problem for a car. I mean, if it was wet and rainy, that's a different story. But so, other than being a little bit bumpy, this is extremely stock friendly. It is a road, not necessarily a trail. They cover most of the bricks with sand, but you can see a patchwork of bricks showing through.
It's okay to be splashing. Deer moth.
Right. Oh yeah, the deer moss is
Yeah.
really bright. Usually it's gray.
Yeah, usually you don't see it that nice. And little flowers too.
So that little road didn't go very far back, but it did provide us with one little mud hole to go slow through. And that was pretty cool.
It's pretty.
It's a pretty, yeah, mud.
Well, no, the sun was coming through the trees pretty. The sun was coming through the trees pretty. There's a couple pictures.
I thought the mud was pretty. It rained. We found mud. It was a great day. It is time for some Buc-ee's cherry maple beef jerky. bit about the history of the old Dixie Highway and enjoy this ride. The north end's got a little more prettier areas, a little more water, a few more bumps. A lot of the side roads are managed by hunt clubs, and you can't drive into those unless you're a member of the hunt club. It is still deer season here, so anytime you come up on any hunters, show them a lot of respect and make sure, especially sure, that if they have dogs, that you go real slow. Welcome to Matanzas State Forest. We are on the double gate road entrance. Right down there is the gate. We are right here, and yes, this is dirt all over it. Somebody opted to fling mud this way, and we're gonna just trying to explore around this area. There's different trails, but I'm gonna see how close I can get to the river. Is there a money drop, or how do you?
I don't see a money drop, but I'll read that.
Do not enter without a day use permit for a free day pass. For a free day use permit in the gate combinations, please call the following numbers: 386-585-6151. Phone number I showed you on there, all you have to do is give them a call, and they'll give you a permit number. One of the guys who was with us was actually the first one to call this year, and his code was number 1. That's kind of cool. Resets every year.
Yes, it is different from the city.
Hey,
Oh no,
it's got wings.
I can see the black stuff
Tell me what this is.
It's a gear tunnel.
A gear tunnel
Gear
for
tunnel for storing whatever you need that's long.
skis, and it goes through both sides.
Yep.
So the thing's got wings.
And there's a company making a camp kit.
Look at that. And the interior of this is incredible.
I'm not sure how clean up.
It's got screens all over the place. It's a 4-door. Now, you know that we're Jeep people, but this is cool. This is cool, and it is a great pleasure to have y'all coming along for the ride, and it's capable. I mean, I don't have lockers, and this doesn't need lockers because it's got 4 motors to each one. So Jeep, you might be able to learn from that. But then again, maybe Jeep already does that, and I don't know that, because Matt, does your Jeep have motors in each tire? There's a question for you. If you know the answer to that, respond below. Do Jeep with a lot of people who are not in Jeeps. Now, in foreign countries, the word Jeep doesn't necessarily mean a Jeep Rubicon or a Wrangler. They call other vehicles off-road. They call them Jeeps. Yeah. Jeeping is a thing, and a lot of people love Jeeps, and we do love Jeeps, but I love any off-road vehicle. So the question was asked, can you put a lift on it? Well, that's a really good question. However, wow, it lifts itself.
It's about 15 inches ground clearance.
Oh, 15 inches ground.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's an air suspension, so
that
you'll do whatever you want.
Oh man. All right, Jeep. You got some catching up to do.
They will.
in this industry. They log an area, they plant new trees, they move on to an area that's ready to be logged, and they plant new trees, and they move on to an area that's ready to be logged, and they plant new trees. And by the time they've gone through the area, the trees that they originally planted have now grown and become mature enough to log again. That's responsible forestry. Back in the early 1900s and 1800s, they often would go down to areas and they would clear cut everything and they didn't plant it back. So we ended up with very large areas with little to no trees. Well, there's camping out here as well. You can reserve a camping spot, and reservations are required. The place that you would get your day pass is the same place that you can rent one of these campsites. We're not too far from the river either. The river's actually over there, and there's some nature trails that you can go down while you're out here also. But they come with a fire pit, picnic table, and it's nice and peaceful out here, kinda. Been out here for a few hours, and we haven't even explored half of Matanzas yet. State of the trails for Matanzas State Forest is that these trails are pretty much easy. So even if you have stock tires, or maybe you're just in a car and you want to go out and see what Matanzas is all about, come on out here. Just put Gaia GPS on, or whatever GPS that tracks all these roads, because you could get turned around and get lost out here. It's understandable. We've circled back several times and ended up at the same place we were before. But we're gonna head to the south part because we're only about halfway through. Then we gotta go find something to eat. And now it's time for an episode of What Kind of Scat Is That with Matt. So let's take a look at this pile of poo and see if you can put a proper ID on it. It's kind of splattered going down the road, and I hit the brakes pretty fast. Randy thought I saw a snake, but you know me, I had to investigate this pile of poo. Nice flat, looks like it's full of oats. Kind of mushy, pretty soft. Whatever animal dropped that must have been moving at a good pace. And this just might be a clue. Right there, and right there, and right there. It looks like some kind of creature that had little horseshoe-shaped shoes. If you can positively ID that poo, comment below. Who needs to see that? Everybody.
Everybody needs to see that.
All right.
Everybody should stop for poop in the road. Everybody.
Well, I guess that's better than stopping to poop in the road.
That's right.
Whatever animal did that didn't stop.
Oh.
Still moving. We proceeded to try to find our way out. We're on the border between the WMA and the state forest, and it was directing us to go out this road. We got to the end of the road and there's a gate that is locked, and the code that we were given didn't work, so we called the forestry office and they said the double gate road is the only way in and out of the state forest right now. So we're gonna have to drive back up, go north through the forest to get back out. Well, this has been Matanzas State Forest. It is a really stock-friendly, easy ride. More about the scenery and exploring. A great place to go solo if you just want to come out and explore. A couple things. We tried our best to get over close enough to the river to get right there, but you'd have to park and you have to hike to get out toward the river. So if you really want to complete this trip with Matanzas, the next thing you want to do is go around the north side, cross the intercoastal waterway, go out onto the islands out there, and go visit the Inlet, because there's a state park on the other side, and on some days of the week there's a ferry that you can take out to go to Fort Matanzas, which is a coquina-made fort on an island near the Matanzas Inlet. But that we'll tell you about in a little bit. So it was great to have Bart and Wendy, Fred and Cherry, Sean and Christine on us on this trip. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. This is just one of several videos that we're doing for the beginning of the year. And then we're coming to Judd.
Forest. Double gate road entrance is the way in and the way out right now.
Well, we are making a stop for lunch finally at Smokin' D's Barbecue.
Yes, I'll give you my
Does that stand for 4-wheel drive? Attack 4. Volunteer Fire Department. Downtown St. Augustine. Where are we at?
Smoky D's.
Smoky D's? And how long has it been around?
16 years?
Smells really good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get the rib platter,
With what, 2 sides?
and 5 ribs.
Yep.
And coleslaw and beans.
Perfect. What kind of sauce? It's on the side, not on the top. We don't put sauce on the meat, so if you
Okay.
have to hide it under sauce, it's not really worth eating.
All right. So what kind of sauce are you asking me about?
Which one do you want?
I like
can
the Georgia mustard.
Mustard? Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
It is locally owned, and you know that's what we're looking for. So we're about to dig in to some ribs and some pork. So pull you up a stump and grab you something to eat. We need 8 stumps though, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 3 over there, a couple over here. I'm not moving any stumps around.
Oh, turkey.
The ribs are good.
It tastes like ham, and I'm like,
They're everything comes wrapped up. It's part of the experience eating here. I just don't want them hanging out over me. Birds up there.
They're all going away.
They didn't like the GoPro.
As long as they don't bombard us now.
Oh, we'll get them. Smokin' D's. Got some good barbecue. Great to eat off the tailgate or take out wherever you're gonna eat. It's a bit windy out here today. The beans are really good. I enjoyed the beans. And the meat is so good, you don't need to put any sauce on it. The smoke taste was great. When you're riding trails all day, you may need some energy. And a friend at work, Jeremy, gave me several of these energy drinks to try out. Well, thank you, Jeremy. We are by Matanzas Inlet. That's the bridge. You guys are standing on the beach across from the inlet. The French claimed this as their territory. The Spaniards claimed this as their territory. St. Augustine was the fort for the Spaniards. To the north by Jacksonville was Fort Caroline for the French. The French were Protestants. The Spaniards were Catholics in Catholicism. Well, as the French people left the fort up there, a group of the men in ships, they found out about it in St. Augustine, so the army from St. Augustine went up to Fort Caroline and killed everybody. Men, women, children, everything. Taking the fort and renaming it as San Mateo and all the provisions. Well, they found out supposedly from Indians, that a French group had gathered right on the other side of this inlet. About 120 people. Well, they only had 50 or so guys, so he came down here. Apparently he dressed up like a Frenchman, went over to the shore, waved them on over, but they could only transport around 10 people at a time across the inlet. So they transported the 10 people across the inlet, and when they got over here into the dunes, they massacred them. Went back, got 10 more. Oh, they're on the way to Fort Caroline. Brought 10 more across, massacred them. Took them off in the dunes and said, when we give you the signal, kill them. Well, some of them were spared because some of them had skills or trades that needed to be used in St. Augustine. Some of them converted and said, okay, I'm fine with that. And but the rest of them were all massacred. A second group of Frenchmen, their ship made it down to Merritt Island area. Well, they eventually made their way up here and they got to the inlet, the same place, and they found out that they were there. So guess what they did? They did the same thing again. We can ferry 10 of you across and get you over there. So the word Matanza, which this is named after, is a Spanish word for what?
Murder. Matanzas.
Murder, slaughter.
Yeah, slaughter.
Massacre. But that's where we're standing now. Now the Spaniards did build another fort, which you can see right across the bay over there. That's Fort Matanzas. It's a coquina fort to keep track of who was coming in and out of here. But that's where we get the name also for the fort, which is where we were, right on the other side. As we were literally over there, right on the other side of this river, wheeling around in history. But I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. This has been a Florida Jeep ride. I'm Matt.
I'm Fred.
I'm Cherry.
I'm Randy.
I'm Bart.
I'm Wendy.
I'm Christine.
I'm Sean.
And y'all just been on a Florida Jeep ride. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with Off-Road Travels. And we want to thank Bart and Wendy for driving their Rivian out by the river. That was a really special treat for us to be able to all see that. Thanks. Don't forget again, like, subscribe, and comment below. We'll see you on the next ride.